Yo, I got this video for tomorrow. It was supposed to be for today, and I know it's for New Year's Day, and it might really not do as well as it should at this point. Maybe I'll try to release it on Monday, but the video file went corrupt. I've put 4 or 5 different layers into this video. I thought it was gonna be super cool. One of these layers is now this, and I can't just do this again. I gotta wait for a point in time where I'm not gonna get killed by the amount of caffeine that I'm gonna drink. So wait for that one. When you know, you'll know. It's like, oh, this is the one. This is gonna be the coolest video he's done in a while. But I do have another topic that I wanna talk about, and that is Streat Hoerner. The other day, you may have seen that he did that 60-minute EMOM. That's gonna be most of what I wanna talk about today. I do wanna bring up the fact that he is the perfect example of a specimen in the sport of CrossFit, because you'll hear people talking, look at that, how did he do that? How is he so jacked? That dude cannot be natural. Tell you what, this dude I know about as close as I could know any of the top end athletes, and without a fucking doubt, this dude is natural. You know how I know? Well, I can look at a picture of him from when he was in high school. You look at his stomach and you think, this dude's got crazy good genetics. And yeah, his abs are jacked and his shoulders are capped and he's got veins everywhere. But you also see that in his 60-minute EMOM post, he writes right there, I can only do this because of all of the years it took me to get to this freaking point. Build that sort of frame of mind over the fact of like, this is what he looked like when he was 14 years old or whatever, and you're starting to think, this is what is possible for the top of the top at the CrossFit Games. While I do still think that there are people who are using performance enhancers, I've also said that I think that there's plenty of people who are not, namely the Justin Medeiros and Haley Adams of the world. When it comes to Streat Hoerner, it's one of those where when people say you aren't natural, you totally take it as a compliment. It's basically people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, looking at someone saying, you had to have cheated to have gotten there. But when you follow like him as close as I have, also having been part of teams that he's been on and been sponsored by the same apparel company, seeing the come up, which is basically he finishes at a certain spot in the regionals the year that I qualified, fast forward 1 year, and then he qualifies out of that regional. And then you see what he has to do after that. I believe he wins an open workout. And then I think he has an injury up and down and around, but his claim to fame is stuff like this 60-minute EMOM where he accumulates a shitload of work capacity built up over a long time. When you take what he looked like way back then and apply it to what he can do now, it makes a lot of sense. I, who am using performance enhancers, cannot do that workout. I looked at it and I thought, let's give it a go. Streat Hoerner says that he's done all of this over all this amount of time. Andrew, you're using testosterone, got it from your doctor. Let's see what you can do, because he says, don't do this. It would be stupid. You'll wake up tomorrow and won't be able to move. And I'm like, fuck that. I can do 375 GHD sit-ups. I'm happy I didn't. Where he went, minute 1, 15 cal bike, minute 2, 4 strict ring muscle ups, minute 3, 25 GHD sit-ups, and minute 4, 25 wall balls. I went 15, so that was the same, 3 strict ring muscle ups, so that was 1 less, and then I went 15 and 15. And over the course of 60 minutes, that ends up being 150 reps less on both the GHD sit-up and on the wall ball. I know when I do wall balls, I accumulated 225. I haven't gone over 200 in a long time, so even that 25 additional, I was kind of worried about it. Legs are okay, they're fine. A 1 out of 10 on the soreness level. As far as GHD sit-ups go, I really haven't gone over 125 in a while, so I put 100 extra reps in there for the first time in a long time, and I'm like a 4 out of 10. But I would bet that if I tried to do the 375, first of all, I don't think I would have finished, because you get deep into that EMOM, 40 minutes in, and the thoughts start creeping into your head, and you're like, that's enough, whatever, that's fine. I'm not recording it. That's another thing too. Certain workouts like this, you don't put the camera down on purpose. I don't have anything on there. I did the workout with Alexis. She had her own modifications, but when you put a camera down, it's like an extrinsic motivator. Sometimes you need an intrinsic motivator. You need to just tell yourself to keep going. Why is it that you're doing this in the first place? Number 1, and always number 1, is that you want to prove to yourself that you can do that sort of thing. You want to be able to be done with it and pat yourself on the back and be able to look back on that for the rest of your life and say, I was able to accomplish this amount of work in this amount of time, and I was able to push past this time domain where I knew that I wanted to quit. And for me, it was like the 32 to 40 minute range, which ironically enough, when I did that 100 snatch workout with 225, same exact thoughts were creeping into my head. It's like, my hands kind of hurt. You know, I've really never done 50. So in the back of my head, I've never done 50 snatches at 225. Why do I really need to do 100? Maybe I just won't post this video because that one I was recording it. And then you remind yourself, man the fuck up, stick your head in the fucking dirt and finish it up. And in this case, I didn't want the fact that I had a potential video on the line. While I'm still making a video on it, I didn't want to have to like have it run in the background. I have to have that in my head. It's like, Andrew, if you finish, you won't be able to use this for your content. There's a huge part of my athletic career where I did this all the fucking time. Don't put the camera down because it's not what's important. What's important is what the end result is going to be. And the only reason I say that is because I know people who would literally do workouts just for video camera content to put on the internet so everyone could see that they were working out. It was when that sort of shit would happen that you knew that there was absolutely no chance that they were ever going to make anything of their athletic careers. Call that a hot take, but I very much concretely will fall on the sword and die on that one. You need to have that bit in yourself that says, I'm gonna do this 60-minute EMOM, build the mental fortitude to finish it, and it's gonna be on my own accord. Wanted to quit yesterday at 40 minutes, basically 2/3 of the way into the workout, more work than I've done in a long time, but it's like, fuck it, I've come this far, I can do it. You can do it! Alexis had the same thing going through her head, not that she wanted to quit, but that's where it got really hard. And I think that that's a big part of these longer EMOMs too. Matt Frazier is very open about EMOM and how it's been a big piece of his winning career in CrossFit. 15 GHD setups at the beginning of that workout does not feel like 15 at the 40 or the 50-minute mark on that workout. They're way harder. The wall balls are harder. The 72 cadence on the echo bike that you had to hold in order to keep yourself finishing at the same time, that's way harder. Your heart rate at the beginning of every single interval, it's like it goes up and down, it's like 150, and then once you get to the 20-minute mark, it's like hovering at 155, and then once you get to the 40-minute mark, it's hovering in the mid-60s. And that, I think, is why those are so important, because you don't have to do all that much minute after minute after minute, but by doing that minute after minute after minute, you're just following like a marathon sort of trends. Like if you're running a marathon, you can't just get up to 180 right away and hope to hold on. But when it comes to marathon training, you do need to be able to accumulate the volume. And I think that the volume you accumulate along with the work done, it doesn't end up being that much work. I've done 200 GHD sit-ups in much shorter amounts of time, but I think that there's some sort of an effect from having done them at the end of that workout that will apply to something like the 5 to 7 minute workouts. Frazier does the 33, 27, 21, 15, 9 chest to bar thruster workout in the open. What was that workout? 19.5. And I bet that there's 40-minute EMOM sitting in the back of his head where he's like, fuck, if I can do 10 thrusters on minute 39 at 115, 15 at 95 pounds isn't that hard when it's only been 5 minutes. There's gotta be thoughts swirling around in there about that sort of stuff. And I think that's part of the power of the longer EMOMs. I have this workout that I always do, and it's always by 300 meters on the rower with a minute rest in between. I bring it up all the time. Any average day of the week, I know that I can keep a 140 pace on my 300 meter row, 1 minute rest, and I can do that for upwards of 20 rounds. If I'm in really good shape, I can keep it in like the 136 average pace. And I've always said that you do 1, it's easy. You do 2, still easy. 3, all right, this is what it's gonna feel like. 4, okay, I get it. But once you get into like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's the shitty area. You're hanging on to a pace that's kind of uncomfortable. You gotta make sure that you get yourself into the rowing straps at the right amount of time. Don't quit early on them. It keeps you mentally engaged, and it's just a little game that you put yourself on a rower, and that's in a 20-ish minute workout. But I always say that the most potent portion of that workout is rounds 10 through 15, where it's like 10's good enough. And once you get to 15, it's like, well, I only got 5 left. But it's once you get to 10, once you break 15, I apply that sort of headset to the longer EMOM. And when it comes to people like Streat Hoerner, who have been doing this for as long as he's been doing it for, it's incredible to see the capacity that you can spit out on the other end of these long things. I think he said it was 1,035 reps done in an hour. That's a shitload of contractions. And that's something that might murder your average everyday person if they could even do it, which they probably couldn't. It's always incredible to me to see the things that people will say on the internet, and they've never put themselves even in 1/10 of the amount of pain that something like that it has to have happen. But this is a video where I did want to touch upon that. I wanted to touch upon the media world of this stuff, where there are instances where I think you need to shut the fucking camera off. And then I, of course, wanted to do another Natty or Not, hopefully funnel more people into this video. And if you do indeed try that thing out, likely do something more like what I did, where you shave off a lot of the work. Get ready for Tia Toomey's $1 million home gym. Andrew Hiller, out.